The biggest opposition party, the NDC, is demanding a fresh start of the registration exercise for the third phase, alleging that the Electoral Commission engineered artificial challenges to suppress vote in the party's strongholds. Now, these comments come in the wake of the Electoral Commission's assurances that measures will be put in place to rectify challenges which occurred in the early hours of Sunday as the Electoral Commission began the third phase of the exercise. Now, the party says the assurance was not enough. Now, let's hear from the Greater Accra Deputy Youth Organizer of the NDC, Amos Blessing Amose, addressing the media at a news conference.
We are dealing with an electoral commission that will preach something and do otherwise. That is the electoral commission that we are dealing with. This is an electoral commission that the electoral commissioner herself, Madame J. Mensah, a day to the start of this registration, organized a press conference, told the whole world that they have made provisions for their own chairs, their own tables, their own canopies, and that on the day of registration, the EC, because of COVID-19, will not use anybody's chair, table, or canopy. When they started the registration, the EC officials went there without anything. He, as the assemblyman for the area, had to go and rent canopy, chairs, and tables for the EC. Even electricity, the constituency youth organizer for that constituency, Sidi Ali Bashiru, had to pay before the EC official could get access to electricity. So if an electoral commissioner could come out and assure us that they are going to do these things, and on the day of registration, we don't have any of these things in place, and the same person has issued a statement this time around, not even a press conference for us to even watch her gestures, but a press statement assuring us that she's going to make time for the wastage they have created. We are not under any obligation to believe that statement. And this press conference is to reiterate our point that if they had in place measures to rectify the challenges that we experienced on the first day, by now we should not be experiencing late arrival of machines, and then people will be giving you alibis like they should have sent them activation codes and whatever. Issuing statement, apologizing, we are saying it's not enough. What we want to see is that the people who are eligible to register are given the opportunity to register, and that nobody should create artificial problems to frustrate people from registering.
So they should restart the third phase?
Restart the third phase tomorrow, and the machines should start working 7 o'clock a.m. That is what we are saying.
The campaign team of the governing MPP has also cautioned party communicators against vilifying political opponents, but rather campaign based on the party's track record. Now, the party observed that certain remarks from party communicators in recent times were an indication that such persons were drifting away from the core principles and ideals of the MPP. Asante Regional Chairman of the MPP, Bernard Entwi-Boesiakun, also known as Chairman Wontumi, is alleged to have made disparaging remarks against the running mate of the NDC, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman. As a result, the caution from the party. But Deputy Campaign Manager for the 2020 elections, Dr. Mustafa Abdulhamid, fears such comments could hurt the party's fortunes during the December polls. He spoke to journalist Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
In politics, it's okay for people to want to score political points. That's what politics is about. And so if you're not careful about what you communicate, people can twist the meanings of these matters and try to allege that you are attacking either your opponent's personality or his or her ethnicity or religion or gender and so on. And these are very divisive issues, and you don't want that. And so that is the reason we want to make it very clear, quite frankly. The purpose of the statement is to make it very clear that it is not the philosophy of the campaign team and the president, to engage in individual or personality attacks. That's all. So once that is clear, then the whole public knows that anybody who is anywhere, whether in Bunkpurugu or Hamili or Axim, who purports to be a party faithful or purports to be speaking on behalf of the party, makes a derogatory remark about somebody or something, they should know that it is not something that is sanctioned by us. Yabwabia Samoa is the director of communications of the party. I didn't hear him, and I have read the whole script, and I was privy to the press conference. That press conference was a properly sanctioned press conference. So make no mistake about that. And nowhere in that statement did he attack anybody.
How about Wunti?
Are you following me?
Right, I'm following.
Yeah.
How about
So yeah, Wontumi too is alleged to have made statements about the woman. They say she's not nice or something or something. Of course, that's not a statement that I would make at all. We would prefer that we question President Mahame's record in office, and we believe that his record in office was abysmal.
And is the party distancing itself from Wunti's statement?
Oh, it's not just about distancing. I have said that this statement shows that it is not our philosophy. So that's it. It's not our philosophy.
So it's not sanctioned by the party?
Oh, but of course it's not sanctioned by the party.
So will the party reprimand him for that because they are called to sanction him for making some of these comments?
Well, I'm not a party official. I'm a campaign official. You may have to direct this question to the national chairman or general secretary of the party.
But what is your own personal view, sir, that people calling for some actions against Wunti? What are your own personal views?
Well, I believe that the party people are best positioned to decide that for themselves.
You don't have any personal view on this?
No, I don't have a personal view on the matter. My personal view is just that we should stick to the party's philosophy of positive engagement. That's my view.
Do one get a sense that the party is perhaps petrified of some of these comments because it might hurt the chances of the party going forward into the election, and that has prompted the release of this statement?
Oh, it may alienate certain people who also do not subscribe to that philosophy. Of course, without a doubt. Yes, there are certain people who are repulsed by that kind of politics. So to that extent, anybody who is repulsed by that kind of politics would not feel excited to associate with you, for sure.
Moving on, 7 secondary schools in the Western region have so far recorded cases of COVID-19. Now, the Regional Director of Health, Dr. Jacob Mahama, tells Joy News that the schools that have currently reported cases include the Shamar Secondary School, the St. John Senior High School, Adiembra Senior High School, as well as 4 others. Now, parents, he says, have been notified, and affected students have been quarantined, as well as their contacts.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Mahama.
Yeah, it was early this week. Actually, it's not only Archbishop Porter Girls. They have only one case. There were actually 19 suspected cases, and then when we send the samples to the lab, only 1 turned out to be positive. The rest are all actually negative. And social distancing is okay in the school. Everything is going on well. But we have other schools. We have about 7 schools that have got confirmed cases. In the East Axim, it's one of those schools of 14 associated cases that we took Wednesday to Accra, and 8 of them were positive. 5 are still pending. And you have Shamar has one associated case that was negative. St. John's Secondary School, 1 case positive, and Adiembra, 8 associated cases, 2 turned out positive, 6 were negative. And then the Hunterman girls, 6 suspected and 2 positive. The rest, so these are the schools that we have in the region actually positive.
Now, as a directorate, since you started reporting these cases, have you been able to connect the dots as to what, how the cases may have trickled in together, so to speak?
We work with them closely. For instance, the one from the and they actually, just at the beginning of the opening that they had it, and then we believe they brought from home. There were 6. And they are now actually going to be discharged tomorrow. They actually fine now, and there's no case again. There's no complaints from any of the students, and social distancing is fine up there.
And With the Skins is the title of Seth Kwame Boateng's latest Hotline documentary. It airs this evening right here on the channel, Joy News, and you'll get the latest of how the reporting time will be aired, and also snippets of this documentary as we upload it, waiting for you to also join us this evening on our relevant social media pages. And we're talking Facebook, Joy News on TV. We're talking our Twitter handle at Joy News on TV, and also get the latest update through myjoyonline.com. As you move on, a newly constructed 3-unit classroom block has been presented to the Rereso MA Business School in the Ofokro municipality of the Ashanti region. Now, before the construction of the classroom block, management says lack of space amid congestion had been a major challenge, especially in the face of COVID-19, and as a result, the need for social distancing in classrooms.
Of Rereso MA Basic School will now have 6 streams of classrooms for the JHS classes. Until now, teachers were compelled to arrange students in a shoulder-to-shoulder manner. The advent of coronavirus and its safety directives became a big challenge for school authorities. Headmaster Balfour Asamoah describes Mr. Barnum's gesture as timely.
We are commissioning a ultramodern classroom which was built by Mr. Ernest Viney, donated to the school. This building 3 classrooms will help us during the COVID-19 because of the social distancing. Already the student population is 1,026, and then not less than 70 in a class. So with this 3 classroom block, it will help us to release congestion in the classroom. And then also for the social distancing, it will also assist us to get the rule of COVID-19, to obey the rules of COVID-19. Yeah. Mr. Biney, this is not the first time doing this project for us. He has already finished computer lab with 15 new computers. Then also finished staff classrooms, also finished. So I think this might need to be applauded by the government. If we have such people in the country assisting the schools, education, I think it will go a long way to help the government to release the congestion problems in the most of the schools.
The name behind the success story, Ernest Bannon, had already refurbished the school's library and computer lab. The latest is the construction of a 3-unit classroom block.
In this world, God has a way of making things happen. Now, as I said, I got here by chance. I was invited to a speed day some years ago, and when I saw the condition of the campus, I realized that they needed help. So what I have done here, I think it's by God's chance and grace that I've managed to do this together with the rest of the family. I also did improve the staff room. The room was not in a very good shape, but we had to change the windows, the floor tiles, improve the quality, lighting, fans, and so forth. And then we also had to improve the quality of the environment by developing the landscaping and putting in dwarf walls to mitigate the effects of the erosion. So I think by God's grace, we have managed to do a lot. Now, to accumulate all these efforts we are putting, we built a 3-room classroom, which we think is going to have increase the capacity of the schools and help with learning.
Nana Asensumensa reporting.
And still in the Ashanti region, let's bring you a story before we go. Now, this story is about residents of Pichi in the Ashanti region who are shocked and angry with a man who arrested 2 children for allegedly stealing his corn. Apia Mensah handed over the minors, aged 7 and 5, to the local police, who also kept them for over 4 hours. Now, he said the kids had plucked 3 cobs of corn in his backyard garden. My colleague, Ohiming Teria, followed up on this very bizarre story and has this report for you.
Police station. Unknown to the children's parents, neighbor Mr. Mensah, March Kojo and Akwasi, not their real names, over a distance of about 5 kilometers to the Pechi No. 2 police station. Not even the cry of the half-naked younger lad could save them from their captor. Mother of the children, Vivian Avogra, received what she says is shock of her life when police informed her by phone the arrest of the case.
No, na police for ne frame me. No, so ma bedu police station. Nti wa na me dre me ka me call na mpa na nkra ne gu. Kataba na chiri honom. Nti be hwe no, omo nhye mpaboa. Ba ko kra do nhye panto nhye hwe ne hu na gu ho. Ni say papa no, ni fie mi so fie ni. Otimi asoma ne ma, ebe pro me mango, anape. Ni say me minimum say odo e wo yemu. E ji say me ba ye boni bi kra na ka wo da boom. Eso wa amwom, wa mama me woni. De me tie ane say enkra ne gu police station.
Police say Mr. Mensah left the station without giving official statement. His action has angered residents of Pechi No. 2. Assemblyman for the area, Alex Donko, cites Mr. Donko for subjecting the children to such traumatizing experience.
They detain them. In fact, the 5-year-old one, if you see the guy, you run away because he cry. You cannot describe. It's very, very pity and very, very sad. For my own understanding, if there is any law that we should deal with this man, the law must take its course because you are a parent. And 5-year and 7-year-old child, what they don't know? They don't know anything about stealing. So if somebody or these children steal or something, you can report to their parents. Or we have community assemblyman and committees, and even chiefs are also here. You didn't report to anybody, and you just send them to police station. If there is any law that can take this man on, they should do that.
Meanwhile, police have released the case to their parents as they look for the complainant. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohiming Teria reporting.
Yeah, it's a very funny story, but it's also quite strange just to report 2 small children, boys, under 8, to the police, and the police also detaining them for 4 hours. Well, I guess it has to be one of the discussion points for the week. We'll do that. But in the meantime, let's look at the newspapers we have in the studio next. I know that we are going to enjoy it. A lot of them on the politics of the registration and also COVID-19, of course. Again, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you up to speed with the latest case count for those of you who haven't had the benefit of the first time we did it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, so that's Harper Nichols and also featuring Jimmy Grace there. You can get more of their videos on YouTube. And talking about YouTube, we do have a channel on YouTube. We have, of course, named it the Reliable Joy News TV channel. And get on there, make sure you get to watch many of the uploads. As you do that, now let's get you up to speed with what is occupying the front and back pages of the various newspapers we have in the studio. Today we have a bunch of them. There's many. Every Monday it's always like that. So I've been joined by Gifty and Apia. Don't know whether Gifty is ready. Gifty, are you ready?
Yes, I'm all right, Roland. Good morning.
Great. Yeah, I've missed you. How's the weekend?
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay, great. All right, so which of the papers would you do, or should I choose them for you?
Well, I do have, I have the Finder newspaper. Only problem is that I only have the front page of the Finder.
Yeah, I know.
I have Ghanaian Times, and then I have Daily Graphic as well.
All right, so yeah. I'll let you do those three, the Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Times, and then the Finder. And then I'll try and do a pick of the rest. Would you start for me? Just do the usual front and back pages as we do.
Yeah, I mean, I love to do penny to penny, so start with the Daily Graphic. The Daily Graphic comes with so the banner headline for the Daily Graphic is "Maintain Healthy Lifestyle. Habit strengthens immune system against COVID-19." That's the Ghana Health Service talking. It has a picture of Dr. Dacosta Abuaje, who is leader of the risk communication for the national COVID-19 team. And that story is, a part of that story is on the front page as well. It talks about, it was written, by the way, by Kwame Asare-Boidu, who is also former presidential correspondent. And it talks about the latest deaths, and the story continues on page 3 of the Daily Graphic. There's also a picture of President Akufo-Addo, and the story says 2020 elections about comparison of leadership records. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. The story is on page 16. And on top of President Akufo-Addo is a story about Electoral Commission. It says 2020 Electoral Commission 2020 voters registration exercise movement plan phase 3. So essentially that has to do with how they're moving from one cluster to the other. That story is also on let's see, pages 164. Yeah. All right. And so that's it on the front page of the Daily Graphic. There's also a story about We Power to pay compensation from IGF, that's internally generated funds. Okay, who are they paying it to? You can grab yourself a copy of the Daily Graphic, get more details. And let's look at the back page of the Daily Graphic. It comes with a picture of the boss of the Immigration Service, Mr. Esua Techi, who's the Controller General of Immigration. The story is that 5 immigration officers have been interdicted for aiding illegal entry. You do know that our borders are still closed, so it looks like some people have been caught allowing people to enter, and they've been interdicted, 5 of them. It comes with a picture of the Controller General, like I said, once again, a very good man there. And 2020 closed fishing season called off. The story is by Severus Kelideri. You want to take a look at that. Why is the Ministry of Fisheries saying so? Details are there. So that's it for the Daily Graphic. Perhaps I should move on with the Ghanaian Times. Roland, shall I?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So Daily Ghanaian Times banner headline: Sanitation Ministry presents 5 pickups to Ghana Armed Forces. Yeah, GAF, Ghana Armed Forces. Well, I don't know. I don't know about having this story on the front page. 5 pickups, really. Anyway, and then there's a picture of Dr. Archibald Lecha, Water Regional Minister. Story is, I have recovered from COVID-19. That story is there as well. Then 10 more SHSs hit. 10 more SHSs hit by COVID-19. Mauli School, Bishop Herman, Archbishop Potter Girls, among others, affected. Getting scary. So that's the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's take a look at what they have on the back. Okay, a number of stories here. Moffat ADB secure 1,300 outboard motors for fisher folk. Okay. Accra Psychiatric Hospital gets facelift. I hope they've solved the problem with the encroachment that the doctors were talking about, because they were willing to lay their tools down if that problem had not been fixed. Okay, but I'm sure the details will tell us what's happening there. So this is it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper. My final newspaper, by the way, will be the Finder newspaper. Unfortunately, I only have the front page. So I'll just go through what I have on the front page here. It says, our promise to Zongos delivered, page 8. We will do more in 4 years, Dr. Baumia tells Chief Imam. Next story, government ADB fund 1,300 subsidized outboard motors for Fisher Folk. This is a story that I tweeted on Pulse, I think about 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, maybe about 3 weeks back. Dr. Awal commends EC for peaceful conduct of registration exercises on page 2, and disregard NDC's claim of security intimidation in Honuta. That's according to the NPP. Find that story on page 4. So Roland, Ghanaian Times, Daily Graphic, find that newspaper. That's what I have for you.
Well, thank you very much. And that's good. Well done too. In the studio, the Daily Graphic is very bulky, as well as the Daily Guide too. But it's all because they have the movement plan of the Electoral Commission for the 3rd phase. And we do know the 3rd phase didn't start well at all on Sunday. We'll talk about that. But look, let's look at the Herald. The Herald has on the front page more controversy over president's health and whereabouts as Bawumia chairs cabinet tomorrow, despite 4 ministers testing coronavirus positive. We do know the president also chaired a meeting of his communication team that was brought to us by the presidential press corps, or let's say his official communication mouthpiece, and so we got to have wind of it. It was posted on the Facebook page as well. Deputy Chief of Staff, that's front page of the Herald. The Deputy Chief of Staff not in COVID-19 danger. Occupy Ghana finally finds its voice against abuse of power. Up there we have Mahama Meet, Stogbiapade and Fiti in Volta Tour, and those are the stories we have on the front page of the Herald. Now let's go to the Daily Guide newspaper. Has on the front page, also very bulky, and it's all because of the movement plan of the Electoral Commission during this new voter registration exercise as it enters the 3rd phase. The Daily Guide has on the front page, ex-NDC MP to refund 2 million Ghana cedis loot from venture capital. We do know that the former boss himself also has been in trouble. We're talking about the MP Richard Lasse Agbenyefia, who is on trial for stealing and causing financial loss to the state, and is willing to admit guilt and refund the booty to the state, according to the story. We also do have on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper, 5 pickups for Ghana Armed Forces to fight filth, the handover ceremony in pictures also there. Police chief ordered out of VND, and we do have the movement plan also available for you. The chief imam blesses Bawumia as running mate, has an inserted picture of the vice president, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, and Sheikh Nuhu Sharubutu, Freddie Blay, and Patrick Boama, all in attendance. On the back page is all sports. That's the back page of the Daily Guide. You don't run Kotoko and lose, and Barcelona is tired, coach confesses. And on the side, we have Zinedine Zidane, the coach of Real Madrid. I don't want to disregard any player, he says. Meanwhile, down there, apparently Michael Essien, former player of Chelsea, is backing Partey for EPL move, says that if he moves to the English Premiership, it will help him. We know that, according to the reports in the Ghana media, he is said to have attracted interest from Arsenal, Manchester United, Inter Milan, Napoli, and PSG. I don't know which of them. I think it's only Arsenal that I really could get some playing time. Yeah. Let's get to the New Crusading Guide. The New Crusading Guide has on the front page, plot against NAPO, UPSA VC exposed, and that's on page 3 of the paper. We have Ministry of Sanitation, Water Resources, and then Zoom Lion present 5 pickups to the Ghana Armed Forces to enforce environmental bylaws. It's also there. And then we have We'll Do More in 4 years. Bawumia tells Chief Imam. Another NDC attack on MPP police agents in Efutu. And we have GA Guta rejects national order, says their dissolution is bogus. Okay, let me see which of the papers I can do. Okay, usually I'll do the statement. So I have the custodian. Yeah, custodian. Nearly forgot a custodian. The custodian has on the front page, this is a custodian. I will do Mahama, the managing editor. Good morning to you. Choice of running mates. Bawumia is the standard Ghanaians asset And then we have delivered our promise to Zongos, Bawumia to Chief Imam. That was a nice blue kaftan. I need to have my designer, Ellis Couture, who's based in Tema, to do one for me. Okay, Gifty, any pick you would want to have? Osre.
Today you haven't done shout-outs, Crass. I was wondering if everything was okay.
No, because Salif, you know Salif for Combat?
I've heard his name a couple of times from you on the show.
Okay, he's the head of primary health pharmacy, the Boku Presbyterian Hospital. He's a pharmacist, well-trained, well-traveled also.
I greet him.
Yes. You don't even know the wife. The wife is also an immigration officer with the Michigan border. Oh, Gifty, please make your choice.
Okay, Roland.
That's why I said I've missed you, but I don't know.
This is not necessarily my choice, but it's a story that I have noticed trending. I mean, that Ghana Armed Forces has received 5 pickup vehicles. I don't know how that is news, honestly.
Is that your pick? Is that your pick?
It's not. It's just an observation I want to make before I get to my pick.
All right.
But anyway, my pick will be the fact that the schools, we're seeing more of the schools recording coronavirus cases. I think it's a very worrying trend. And I don't know how many more schools will have to be added. I don't know what the plan is, but of course we do know that they're going to be registered. The students are going to be registered. I mean, it's a bit of, I really don't know. I am one of the people who don't think that right now that we've already taken the students to school, that we should bring them back immediately without at least testing them once, because we don't know whether what they're going to bring back to the society if we bring them back home. But I mean, this whole idea is giving people ideas that government really just, well, no government, I beg your pardon. The Electoral Commission really just wanted to get these people, the senior high school people, to register, which is why government opened up the schools for them to go. I don't think that's really the reason why government did that, but this is the impression that what is happening is giving. And yesterday, pictures of Nana B also was trending, that he had gone to the schools and he said he was inspecting the registration exercises. But I don't know. I'm sure that that's going to be a big part of the conversation today. There's going to be all the politics about it. But I think that as we go along, we should really, really honestly, sincerely want to put the interest of these young people first, instead of the politics and instead of whatever votes it is that we want. I think that it's a very worrying thing. We need to look at it sincerely. I don't know if we will, because we always do the politics and move away with it. But that's something that I observed that I wanted to comment about. And there's also a story that's been going on. You know, I think most of the papers are reporting it. The vice president saying that they've delivered their promises in the Zongo communities. I saw a picture of Mustafa Hamid, who's the honorable minister for the Zongo and inner cities. I think, was it something about a small toilet or something somewhere? I'm not very, very sure that I have all the details, but if you have, let me just wrap this up.
Well,
if you have,
you know, that story is a bit controversial, though, even though I know, because of the work I've done in the recent past, that we have the Gamma Project. You know, the Gamma Project is supposed to provide toilets to various communities in their thousands. And even though a phase has ended and we have a new phase that is ongoing, the current phase also sponsored by the World Bank, a number of toilets were provided to various communities, and it's not only the Zongo communities alone. Now, in this Gamma project, that's the Greater Accra, I believe, sanitation project, as it is, urban sanitation project. It's been noticed that there are many homes in Accra, Greater Accra and elsewhere in the country, that don't have basic sanitary facilities.
That's a fact. I mean, that's
so we have had a statement from the Greater Accra region. That's the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. That seems to clarify this, to say that this is just one of many other projects of a sort. And so the minister, I believe, outdooring this or cutting short for this was just to initiate or signal one's completion amongst several, if not hundreds of them in the Zongo community.
Seriously, Roland, I get the explanation, but seriously, seriously, a serious country handling coronavirus, a serious country looking to compile a new fresh voters register for an election that is barely 5 months away, a serious country that doesn't have everybody having, that doesn't have all its citizens having access to potable water in COVID-19. Seriously, Roland, really. Anyway. But yeah, that's just my view. I was going to talk about the Zongo communities. I was very excited about the setting up a whole ministry dedicated to live. I've lived in the Zongo community before. I've lived in Latebiokoshi Zongo before. I have seen the struggles, you know, of the people, public toilets. I have seen all of that. So I was one of the people who was very excited about having the government set up a whole ministry dedicated to developing the inner cities as well, and as well as the Zongo communities. But I'm not sure over the years that I am particularly satisfied with the kind of work that has been done and whatever it is that the ministry has achieved. Of course, we've seen authority change hands between ministers, but I'm not satisfied with the work that has been done. Mustafa Hamid, my honorable minister, my very good friend, I really admire him. I mean, he came in a bit late, but I think that there is a lot more that we can do. And if you say that we have delivered, look, when the people feel it on the ground, you won't have to put it in the front page. The people themselves will put it in the front page for you. The people themselves will say it for you.
That's me. That's me.
But no. I'm just saying that, look, we're going into an election and we know what some of these stories, you know, you're telling people we have done this, we have done that, essentially what you want are votes. I'm saying that when you genuinely work for the people, when you genuinely let them see, even if it's hard to get them everything that they want, genuinely want to do some, you know, if you have to chop some of the money, you know, somewhere, it happens. Across the world, people chop the money, but do the work. At least let the people feel it. You see, that's my point. So that would be my pick. Zongo and the schools, more of the schools recording coronavirus.
Yeah.
I don't know how we intend to handle it, but I wish sincerely within my heart that we'll put the interests of these young people ahead of the partisan politics.
And Gifty, you are absolutely right. It was also going to be my pick for the morning. Because if you look at the brouhaha that the visit of Nana B and Henry Boakye is somebody we all love, but at the end of the day, I believe that, you know, principles should be principles. We shouldn't have double standards in the way we speak and the way the actions are on the ground. We are in a situation where we say that the political parties should be part of the process of a voter registration exercise. Now, in the first place, these schools were not part of the gazetted registration centers. So the Electoral Commission is now trying to regularize an action that it took that it did not undertake legally. 2, the schools have been called in within or recalled within a period of coronavirus. So it is shocking for all of us to, whether we have MPP or an NDC, no matter how we want to equalize it, to have many people troop in. Because one of the fundamental protocols that we're supposed to maintain is to not have people milling around or gathering. And that is why we say social distancing is important. Is that not why we do this, Gifty? So
but these are even people who are going to write exams, mind you.
Exactly.
They should be easily preparing because they've missed out a lot on contact hours. They've not been learning, they've not been teaching. Maybe they've been learning, but there hasn't been the contact with the teachers over a period of time. These are young people. Maybe some of them now just turning 18, etc. They have their own boyfriend and girlfriend issues to deal with, and they're coming to add registration on top of coronavirus. I think it's not fair to them.
And if you go to Nana B's page, he tries to clarify this by saying, you go to Nana B's page, he tried to clarify this by saying that, look, everybody has been given the opportunity as political parties to visit registration centers. And he has a formal statement that is out. And so they were just doing good by he says, ignore the NDC's vile and fruitless propaganda. Indeed, they don't like reading. And he justifies that by saying that the Electoral Commission has given each party the opportunity to visit, which is true. Outside the campuses, yes. But if we say other political parties have agreed that they want to adhere to the protocols, then it has to be done right. And I don't know that picture.
Because I know that political
exactly that picture was not at a registration center. It was in an assembly hall or an enclosed area, and you're meeting the students. So it's because who is registering?
I'm looking at this picture, Roland, and I'm not really seeing a lot of space in between the young people. Anyway, the students there isn't a lot of space. I don't know. And this is a room. Concentrate. I don't know how long they were there, but they are concentrated in an enclosed area. I have no idea how long it is.
And you know, Gifty, when the thing is wrong, it is wrong. I don't know why we want to pretend that something is right when it's wrong.
Not pretending.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I mean, as a society, we're just glossing over. Look, now the schools are recording the virus. We know that even though they said the demographics, the young people will be in a better position to withstand coronavirus. We've had
we don't really know that.
No, but we've had discussion with experts that are saying that even in school you don't get the best nutrition. I don't know which school in Ghana that gives the best nutritional food that you ever eat that's like a home food, unless maybe you pretend to be sick. Yeah, unless you pretend to be sick and you get special food. And that's the reality of even in Fanta Payment, the best school at Chimota, you won't get food like the way you have it at home. And I don't know, it's just the way we are doing the politics. And
unfortunately, yes.
I know these are our friends, but at the end of the day, what is wrong is wrong.
Let's say one party does the wrong thing. Unfortunately, you have an opposition that's also going to try and do a bit of propaganda before. I mean, if they have to call it out, they will call it out. But I'm really hoping for a time when we'll have an opposition being genuinely concerned about some of these things and not also do politics with it, because that's always going to happen. MPP will say, NDC will come and they'll say this and they'll say the next day another story is up. We're busily chasing it. Yeah. But like I'm saying, for these people who have I'm sure they have children, that they should imagine that any of these children they're trying to reach out to are their children, their nephews, their nieces, you know, and put their interests first ahead of their partisan politics, which is breaking all of us up gradually.
Yeah. Anyway, Gifted, I'll be at 4 now. So we'll do myjohnline.com. I wish I could see it from there so that you do it for me. But we do have...
I do see it.
Okay.
I only see exposed how candidates bought votes in NPP primaries. That's all that I see. But Roland, quickly, I just wanted to indicate that I think it's a good thing that the immigration has done about the interdiction of officers who are allowing people in illegally. I think more of that should happen so we can stop this illegal behavior. But yeah, I see that, and I see a number of stories as well. I can't really see them closely, so do take over. That story about the police officer slapping a woman at the registration center, it's really pathetic. It's one of the stories that I'm hoping that we will, hammer on a lot more.
Well, over the weekend, we got in touch with the police head. They said, look, we're investigating this, but what they put on their Twitter handle or Facebook page is the official position of the police. So we'll take that forward now. The rest of the stories occupying the homepage of myjohnline.com, always available. Kwame Punya MP gives DCE 1 month ultimatum to cover open mining pits. All right? Kwame Punya. Is that not the sports minister? Oh, maybe I don't know. I have to get my facts right. Receiver to pay claims of ex-staff of defunct microfinance companies. NDC demands restart of phase 3 voters registration exercise. It looks like they got their wish. The Electoral Commission will do that. We've kept our part of the bargain. Baumia tells voters in Zongos, as a visits chief imam. I grew up closely to Zongo Laka in Ashaima and the rest of Tulaku and the rest. So I don't know, maybe we'll ask those residents in Fadama and the rest.
And I are both Zongo people.
Exactly. Whether really our mates in school have received what they are supposed to receive. 7 treatment centers, health facilities in 5 regions received PPEs from COVID-19 National Trust Fund. And Nana Senso Mensah, our lead correspondent, one of them, Aina Shanti, reported on this as well. And the Ghana Police Service to investigate a video of officer slapping woman at a voter registration center. You know, it's one of the concerns that was also raised by the former president, John Dramani Mahama, when he visited some of the constituencies in the Volta region. But this one gives me good news. I have recovered from COVID-19. Volta Regional Minister Dr. Archibald Lecha. Good morning to you, Dr. Archibald Lecha, and have a good time as well. All right. We're taking a break. And Gifty, thank you for joining me this morning. I'll call you just after the break so I will have some good time. I'll be at work later today. Oh. Mami Uncle is up. Well, Benedict also is up next with the latest sports headlines. Stay with us. We will bring you up to speed with our latest coronavirus cases, and then you get to know which ones are our case count, where we are currently. As we do that, we'll also prepare the latest discoveries we're getting on the road, because, well, our deaths have increased to 139. It also gives an indication where we are. Currently, we have confirmed cases up to speed, 24,518. We also do have new cases of 270, and then active cases being 4,192. Since then, we've had 20,187 recoveries and discharges. The latest. Now, we have additional 5 deaths recorded from the 135. Well, and we all do know that the Greater Accra is still leading the pack, and concerns have increased since then about where we are currently, what needs to be done, etc. But as we move up, as far as these cases are and the table, we'll also get to know that the deaths, while they don't compare to the number of cases being recorded on the continent in other African countries, we also do know that, well, we have to get to the field and speak to the issues. So we decided to have an interaction with one of the foremost people who is supervising burials of COVID-19 victims who ultimately lose their lives. And those burials are supervised under special guidelines and conditions. Maxwell Agbagba was in the field with the AMA team that is in charge of this at the Owodome Cemetery. Let's watch this.
Final burial rites and funerals play a huge role in bringing closure, especially to persons who have lost their loved ones. But have you ever imagined what it is like to lose a family member or a friend without being able to see their face for the last time after their bodies leave the morgue? Well, that is what most family members of persons who died of COVID-19 experience. The siren of the hearse carrying 4 people who died of coronavirus to the Owodome Cemetery. Environmental officers fully dressed in their protective clothing are sitting in the bucket of one of the pickups. In there is a bucket full of the chlorine they used in disinfecting the remains at the morgue. In the convoy too are family members of the dead who do not want to be identified. This is because of stigma.
And this is the burial site for COVID-19, and when you come here, you see this big signage here, burial site for COVID-19. And this is the point where we go to the burial site. I see writing, I don't know if you heard Mr. Sitanga, he's telling me that we shouldn't capture any of the family members. And of course, you know, the stigmatization, the stigma that comes with COVID-19. We've been trying to fight this, but it looks the case that a lot of people are still stigmatizing others with COVID-19. I don't know whether to call it stigma or precaution. From my experience, just when we're coming here, we went to the morgue where the bodies were collected, the remains were collected, and there I was very thirsty, so I tried to go and get water from one of the shops very close, one of the convenience stores very close, to the morgue. The moment the lady who was selling the water saw me in this PPE, she told me not to get close to her. She told me not to come closer and that she doesn't have water, she can't sell water to me. But then I was in this full PPE. I mean, you can say it is precaution, but there's some element of stigma also in there.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
That was last week.
Here at this burial site, I've met the man who disinfects the bodies before they are taken from the morgue. He has disinfected more than 40 bodies. For fear of being stigmatized, he only agreed to speak to me on condition of anonymity.
For now, I don't have the total number here, but we've done over 40. For now, I don't have the total body now. So the disinfection procedure is one of the key elements that we do. In a way of we, the team members, we are also protecting the burial team. So this is a technical thing that we do to protect each and every one that have a direct contact with the coffin from the morgue up to the cemetery. That is the environmental health officers, that's our duty. So for us, the infectious body, we've been doing it for some time. You understand? So this is the COVID body, but this is a procedure that we use for any infectious body. So for the disinfection, that's the standard that we used to do. Every surfaces, the peripheral surfaces that we touch, we have to disinfect every surface. So from the coffin, every handle that we touch from there, we have to disinfect it to protect the team, the disinfection team that will protect those that they are doing the burial, that none of us will get into contact with the COVID-19 virus.
One prominent feature of all cemeteries are tombstones with names of the dead beautifully engraved on them as a way of showing final respect. But family members of COVID-19 victims cannot do that for their loved ones. They are buried in unmarked graves. Coordinator and supervisor of the COVID-19 burials, Joseph Asitanga, has been explaining to me why they are stripped of that privilege.
We don't allow block work on the COVID bodies.
Why is that?
Bodies.
Okay.
Yes, why is that when we put block work and cement the grave, it retards easy decomposition of the body.
Okay.
And the possibility of collection and evaporation of whatever organism that is there to also come to cause more sickness. So when we bury them on the earth ground, earth burial. One thing is that we are adopting something now. All the graves here, for the purpose of stigmatization, we did not allow labeling and naming of the graves.
Okay.
Yes, because when you get stand here, you see the COVID site for COVID burial. So when we come to put somebody name here, so and so, on the grave here, it remains forever. Possibly in the grandchildren who are likely to come up. One day may be stigmatized that, oh, our father died out of this particular disease that crop hacked the country some time ago. And that can even go down by stigmatizing and making people to even get scared with that particular family. We try as much as best as possible to prevent labeling and naming the graves. Such that after the burial, if you want to come here, you still need to seek permission from the MPH, the Metro Public Health Department. Okay. And we don't even allow you to come here because once you've come to identify the grave and this is where they laid your family member to rest, that ends it. Okay. The gate is under key and locked. You cannot have access here. Yes.
So if you want access, you need permission from you?
Access is not even permitted to any family member to come and inspect anything here.
So how do the family members, if they want, I mean, some kind of coping mechanisms, just want to walk towards the grave, how do they identify the graves where their relatives were buried?
It is a protection to the family that government, for that matter, where the burial team of the various district assemblies is protecting the family. So infectious site, no VOC, no block work. We do earth burials. Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. And so last week you buried how many bodies?
As an indicator, we buried 47.
Okay.
It's almost 48. We have not yet buried the last one.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So last week you buried about 6 here.
Yes. Yes.
You told me. So this is one of the sites.
Yes.
It has not been covered?
Yeah. These are fresh graves waiting for burial.
Okay.
All these are waiting
all these are fresh graves waiting for burial.
Waiting for burials. Okay. So when you look after the fresh graves, all these are burials. Ahead, all that is burials. And this is the Christian side, solely for a Christian. Okay. So from here we go to the Muslim side where we did the other burials. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Aside from the harsh reality of environmental health officers taking custody of the body and the denial of a typical Ghanaian burial rites, family members are not allowed to see the body when it leaves the morgue under the strict supervision of health authorities. Joseph Asitanga warns of more deaths if Ghanaians continue to deny the existence of the virus.
Anybody who passed on through the COVID-19, all the measures from the curative department, that is the medical sector, where they do the treatment, when they fail, at the end of the day and the person passes on, then it's handed over to the preventive department, that is the environmental health department, who ensures the safety and safe burial and disposal of this infectious body. And why these burials are different is they die through an infectious disease, where the disease is transmitted in the wildfire form. Is transmitted in the wildfire form, because where there is wildfire, nobody gets close to it, and everybody is afraid of COVID-19. And for that matter, we have earmarked an area within the cemetery here that is for an infectious burial area. So this area that we are walking through is the zone for the burial of infectious bodies. We have to make sure the person is buried at the infectious zone for proper monitoring, proper upkeep, and to ensure proper decomposition, to prevent further infection during decomposition, and to prevent other public from getting access to that particular burial zone. That's why we bury them separately from this area. So far, 47 has been laid to rest here. At the Awudome Cemetery? At the Awudome Cemetery here. And we will continue. It's because of the pressure of job that we have to settle a particular day for a burial. Had it not been so, it means it would have been a routine thing. Every day we have to bury because the people are lying in the morgue and want to rest. So because of time constraint and logistic constraint, we try to select a particular day that we can be able to meet the time and then the schedule of the burial team to be able to handle the heavy task during the burial processes.
Okay, sure. So tell me, what do you make of people who do not respect the COVID-19 protocols? You gave us a very powerful sound the other time when we spoke to you that you're going to be burying more. What do you make of people? What do you think of people who believe that COVID-19 is not real? They think that COVID-19 does not, exist. What message do you have for them?
Yeah, what we want to still again emphasize and then make it to the public to understand is that COVID-19 has come to stay with us, and it is there. It's real. The whole thing is that most of the things we observe the cultural and traditional norms of the various tribes that we come into encounter with. Or else we would have been doing the bare laying of the people from the morgue to the cemetery side for the whole world to see that this disease is real. So the public should be aware that every day the COVID-19 is killing people. Every day COVID-19, people are dying through COVID-19. And COVID-19 is living with us from where we live to where we do our business, wherever we are moving in our vehicles, whatever business activity, whatever daily activities we do, COVID-19 is moving with us. And therefore, it's better we still continue to understand that the disease is there. And therefore, whatever preventive and protocol measures that are prescribed by WHO, everybody should comply and go by it for us to help reduce the number of deaths that are coming. Because more deaths is likely to occur when we continue to perceive that the disease is not there.
What we've observed now is about how family members do not want to be captured whatsoever, by our cameras at this burial ceremony. It tells you how many of them are still scared about stigma. Some family members, about 5 of them, who accompanied one of the bodies here, we saw some of them, covering themselves with a black cloth, trying to hide their identity. They don't want to be seen by anyone. and they don't want to be captured by our cameras. They warned us that they do not want to be captured by our cameras. It goes to tell you how serious this, this canker, this bane of stigma is. Many of the family members really do not want to be captured by our cameras. They do not want to even speak to us. We'll try and see if we'll get some of them, to talk to us. But as it stands now, 3 of the bodies are inside these graves that have been dug. 3 of them. No, let's just stand here. Yeah, 3 of them have been dug here, and the remains have been dropped. They're in the coffin and they've been dropped inside the grave. And you can see, some bouquet of flowers on top of some of the coffins. The family members are beginning to leave, and we are the only team here so far. COVID is really real, and so far more than 100 people have died in Ghana, and unfortunately, some of these persons lying in the graves here are mothers, our fathers, our uncles, our grandfathers. And the coronavirus has snatched them away. The deadly claws of coronavirus snatched them away from their family members and their loved ones. And the family members do not even, have a better way of saying goodbye to them because the health team here would have to follow the protocol. They do not even open the bodies for them to say their final goodbyes. Imagine that. That is the situation when a family member dies, from COVID. Really sad. Where we were earlier was the Christian burial site for COVID-19 victims. Now Mr. Sitanga is leading me to the Muslim...
The site for the
burial site. He's leading me to the Muslim burial site. Okay, Mr. Sitanga, so tell us, where are we going now?
Yeah, this area is also allocated for the only burial of our Muslim brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Why? Because religion matters in everything that we undertake in the whole world now. We cannot mix both religious bodies together. And that's why we demarcated or zoned the cemetery into 2 segments. Okay. So the other side was the Christian side that we earlier on visited. Okay. And then this is the Muslim side.
Okay.
And since the onset of the burials, we've also buried a lot here. You can see all over here. This is our Muslim brothers' side. Okay. All these are burials of COVID-19 victims. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Sitanga, tell me the feeling for a lot of family members when they accompany the bodies here and they realize that they are not allowed to view the bodies, they are not allowed to pay their last respect. Tell me, what is the feeling like for most of them?
It's very hurting. It's a breakdown of the soul of family members. Total breakdown of the physical soul of the family members. Okay. That you're living with your relative, he passes on. If anything at all, every family member would like to celebrate his departed person. But it's unfortunate that this befalls on some of our families or relatives in the country today. Because you are bringing your family member, you get to a point you have to stop there. One is to also protect you. It breaks you down totally. That when you get back, most people will ask, were you able to go to see where they laid the person to rest? You say, oh, it's not allowed. That alone is a total breakdown of the family. But we try to console them that this is to protect and prevent further infection of the disease. Okay. And for that matter, once that person has passed on, we need to look at what is left behind, not to add more. Okay. So sometimes as the consoling and educative talk we talk to them, they understand and comply with whatever we tell them. Okay. Yes.
Ma'am, now I want to say,
she is called Abena Donko and she's 77 years. Neither Abena nor her husband battled leprosy. Rather, 3 of her children, Doris Ishan, Frank Ishan, and Rollins Ishan.
so ya na no papa tase ya so anye na fi hu anda otra na otra kwal na okan Lawrence so the Lawrence no so di ya pere hwa ya akwa cape anka fo nya no mun anye nche yankopon adumara nche meja am mara ma me ye hwe onye ye nche meja am mutse na muteduru ma ho agbo hu ka papa na na wo papa tase agbo hu ka pa nche no papa so du fi mi a esa mi a ideri biara.
Tears well up in the eyes of the 77-year-old woman anytime she sees them.
Impa basa wina waya genya onko bebiara mana musum ho yeso wo we ye fifira wala nche sa abrabo na ye yi nje wan mpo no wo ye bibi no wo mam bi mamdi na abanna nti mu ho a modwunu ho.
The leprosy has cost Doris 35 years, Frank 31 years and Rollins 21 years to lose all their toes and has left them with serious gaping wounds and ulcers. They are so serious that they emit extremely offensive odor and invite swarms of flies. Not even the bandages covering the wounds could stop the flies. Anthony Arthur, an enrolled nurse in the Nuyem sub-district, first identified this family in one of their case search rounds. That was 11th December 2019.
When we came, the state of the ulcer was something that I can't describe.
Try and describe to me. How were they looking?
It was very offensive, discharging, slug everywhere, with pungent smell, something like a rotten egg.
Sadly, all the three have developed various mental illnesses. Their mother is not only worried about the disability leprosy has caused the family, but also the stigma from the community.
Oh, me feel mkwanja mepe. Mepe. Nansa sisa we miss what ha. Ebia na wona so ansesa. Wona ansesa ya na mete ha. Onya fasu biara owo.
It is not surprising this woman and her family wish to move out of this place. They all live in a small mud house with holes in the roof. With no mat or no mattress, one of the daughters, Doris, spreads a piece of cloth on the dusty floor and
the title of that documentary is With the Skins, but it's a documentary that also exposes how our public health system, sections of it, have been neglected over time. And it's also how, as a society, we've also not had empathy to people of our kind, of our type, who are afflicted with certain ailments that we've stigmatized over evolution. Well, it's not the only public health documentary that has been undertaken by award-winning journalist Seth Kwame Boateng, but we can, as a people, do something about our fellow citizens, and that's why we do what we do as media. The man himself is here, Seth Kwame Boateng. And Seth Kwame Boateng, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Roland. Good morning.
Yeah, and we know this is premiering this evening.
At 8:30. It's the first of three-part series.
3 parts?
Yeah, 3 parts, because we need to know all about leprosy. It is a disease causing a lot of pain, making people disabled, rendering, wreaking havoc in some sections of society. And as you said, it's a neglected tropical disease we have not placed much premium on. And it's really disturbing some Ghanaians. And it will surprise you to know it's everywhere in Ghana. You might think it's something that should be peculiar or should be found only in rural areas. But here in Greater Accra, we are recording cases of leprosy, and it's contagious. That is what is making it heartbreaking and very scary.
There's a considerable aspect about how it looks like there's a certain neglect. Is that a main objective of this document?
Yeah, well, it's part of it that it has been neglected and it's coming. It's affecting a lot of people, and we are recording disabilities. You know, it is treatable, it is curable when detected early. It starts as a small rash or a patch. For example, you have a dark skin, then you start seeing this red patches on your skin. You might think it's nothing, so somebody may apply a cream continuously for some time. It will not go, and it can take about 10 to 15 years for it to incubate, you understand, before it turns into proper leprosy, before it starts the disability, you understand. So you may be applying the creams and all those things, it will not go.
So you're saying that the period before the disease really manifests?
It manifests, yes.
It's a prolonged period for action to be taken.
One thing with leprosy is that when you are an active case, that is, you are at the point you can spread the disease to another person, when you are given the first antibiotics, that stops you from spreading the disease. So that makes it good. But if you don't know and you keep interacting with people, and it spreads the same way as coronavirus spreads, through saliva, touching, all those things, you understand? That is what is making it a serious issue.
There is a considerable aspect of this disease, it looks like, the population that doesn't know. Did you find that out, and why?
Okay, and not even medical doctors. When I interacted with some of the program leaders, they told me not all doctors are aware or know about leprosy. So when somebody with leprosy case report, because it's a rare disease, not all of them are able to identify that really this is leprosy, so they will be treating you differently. There have been cases in some of the communities I visited, there have been people who saw some patches on them, they went to hospital, they were treated differently. So not only ordinary Ghanaians, but also even some medical doctors, they don't even know. When they see leprosy, they don't know. Because you should have specialized in the area, you should have seen it more. Because you are not seeing it more in our hospitals, some of them even don't know, and they don't know how to treat it. That makes it serious.
So it means that the early clinical aspect of detection, that ultimately leads to the diagnosis, is almost absent in our public health system.
What we are seeing on TV, what is rolling now, part of this documentary, the family we are seeing now, I understand when it started, they took them to a number of health facilities. They took them.
Over the period?
Over the period. But they never detected it was leprosy. So they came home and they started herbal treatment. And look at, now they've lost all their legs. They've been amputated, as you can see. So getting the right medical doctor or health worker to identify that this is leprosy is also key.
It's also key. So it means that from what you're saying, first, the education needs to be out there.
Exactly.
Not only within the public health system, but the general society.
Exactly.
Did you speak to the Ghana Health Service, and what did they say they were doing about it?
Yes, I spoke to the program leader of leprosy, Dr. Kwao, and they also want the media to help them educate Ghanaians more. Also, because of the stigma that comes with the disease, people with leprosy don't even want to come out. They want to hide in their rooms because of how society will see them react. So they want to cover up and hide somewhere. So that is another issue. It could be that we have more cases, but they are not reporting. So they think if the media could join in the campaign and help people really appreciate what leprosy is and encourage that stigma is not good. You understand? Everybody should come out. It will help. And let me tell you, how I got this idea will surprise you. I got this idea from the Vice President of Ghana, and he's in this documentary.
Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Yes, I interviewed him in this documentary. When I came back from school, after my public health...
in the UK?
In the UK. My project work was on stigma, mental health stigma. and how we can use celebrities to fight stigma. When I came back, I realized that December 2018, I realized that he held a party for persons with leprosy in his house. And I was like, ooh, this one is doing something. Then 2019, it happened again. He interacted with them, called them to his house. I said, ooh, this man is fighting stigma. Maybe he's not aware. So I started my research, and I called him, I said, Your Excellency, there's something I want to do based on what you've done. What you are doing, you are fighting stigma, and I want to do something on leprosy. That was how it all came about. So I had to start my rounds and all those things. And that's how I got the idea. And I'm happy that I saw what he was doing, and that gave me the idea to come up with this.
Now, it will mean that we need to get an end insight to this. First, you're starting with this and hoping that you can generate the needed empathy out there in the general society, but also bring this to the attention of the general medical community. At the end of the day, where do we move from here after just a premiere of a documentary and it's going round?
I think that the discussion must continue. Those responsible, those who are supposed to help. So, for example, these patients, patients who have been amputated, there's something that can be done for them. You understand? The health system can help them, but we don't have that. So they can be given prosthetic legs and all those things, but we don't have that. So what can we do as a health system for these people? We have to start that discussion. In terms of education, what more can we do? So I'm using this to trigger, and I'm hopeful that as we are starting this, we're going to get others joining the campaign. We're going to get those who matter, people who matter, to join us, do more on this. So this, just to trigger the discussion that is needed to move this forward.
Now, we're going to have a premiere, and we need to be on this so that this becomes a fight for all of us. I remember 15 years, 18 years back, we had worked considerably with Reverend Father Andrew Campbell.
And he's in this documentary.
Yes, who has dedicated his life for it. When you interacted with him, why did he say we are where we are, knowing that he has started a fight for a very long time?
It's the stigma. It's this, you see, when he interacts with persons with that, in that condition or with that disease, it's like, ooh, you are weird. Oh, this disease, you are hugging them, you are touching them. It's the stigma. People are afraid. So if we are able to let people appreciate, they are just like us. It's a condition, something that can happen to you too. You wouldn't know that the person seated next to you perhaps has leprosy, and the person is active, and the person can pass it on to you. So one is the stigma. If we're able to intensify education, if we're able to do more case search, so what is helping is that now the various community health professionals, they are now moving from one community to the other, searching homes. So they go and they ask, have you seen anybody with this condition, with a skin disease? Now they're moving from schools to schools. I think that we need to help them. If we're able to resource them, it will help. You know, in Upper West, every district in Wa has leprosy case. And it is worse in Wa itself, the capital, and Laura. Yes, every district in Wa has a leprosy case. Every district. And in Central Region too, it's getting worse. But if we're able to resource our health professionals, if we're able to train them well, if we're able to convince more people to go into that field, I think it is going to help us. Now we have just a handful of them who are specializing in this area, and we need more of them to join so that we can do more of the case search in other parts of the country.
A considerable aspect of the data that is needed is always missing in our public health system. What did you find out in that?
It's the same. Current data on this is not available. I think they have data up to, is it 2015? Current data is difficult to come by because we are not getting the true picture of how it is. But in the district coordinators are doing their best. We have district coordinators in every part of the country, so they try and gather data and send to the national office. But the national data is difficult to come by. But the program leaders are doing their best, and in the coming years, hopefully, things will change.
Well, the documentary is premiering, and we're hoping that we can get the needed attention for people to influence the mindset of the general society.
Exactly.
And ultimately, we'll have some needed attention. Okay. The last question I would want to ask you before we move on is, at the onset, one, is it infectious? And then when it gets to the stage where it's manifest, is it also infectious?
It's infectious. And if I'm an active case, if I have leprosy and I'm still active, that is, the bacteria in me is still alive, I can pass it on to you. But the moment I'm giving the first shot, you understand, I cease to spread the disease. One. And somebody, if the disease takes its full course, that is, it affects me, it causes disability, and the disabilities this disease can cause are irreversible. So you lose all your fingers, you lose your toes, and when it happens to your eye, you lose your eye, it causes blindness and everything. You understand? If the disease can take its full course, cause all the disabilities, then it ceases. You can't pass it on after it's taking the full course. So that's why they are saying that if you're able to search early, now doctors are more concerned about the disabilities that it's causing. Imagine, look at this family. All the 3 children of this woman lost their legs. Now, look at this woman, 70 years. What work can she do to help this to help the children? That is why they want us to raise the awareness, so that we can stop the disabilities. When you watch the documentary, you find another woman, almost 80 years. And she's lost the fingers, the toes. Now, she has only the 2 big toes left. Imagine. But we can stop this if we saw the cases early and we treated.
One more question came to mind. So we'll wrap up on this. How do we measure, or how are we performing with other African countries to the global stage in terms of the West and then the developed Eastern countries?
Well, Ghana is still doing well, even though we are having cases. But when you speak to public health experts, they will tell you it should not even be happening. It should not be, even if it's less than 1%, it should not even be happening. Even though there are countries who have more figures, they are telling us that it should not be happening. And because it is a neglected tropical disease, they think we've not placed much premium on, and it is time that we give it the needed attention so that we can stop some of these things. So Ghana is not doing badly, but we can do better.
Seth Kwame Boateng, award-winning journalist, was one-time Journalist of the Year, as again chosen by the GJA panel. And we have to say that again, this one is going to be a trailblazer. We have to say congratulations to you in the meantime, but we're hoping that all of us can influence society for the many other things that we want to do. Seth Kwame Boateng, somebody who is also a specialist in public health and health journalism. Well, this documentary is premiering this evening. He tells me 8:30. Seth, I'm right?
Yeah, 8:30.
8:30 sharp. And you can get it on the screen. So free to air, we're available. DSTV, we're available. GoTV, we're available. And then ultimately, I tell you, on social media, just in case you can't be in front of the screen physically, virtually, you can watch while just sitting in your car or taking that drink at a friend's place, whatever. Get onto social media. We have Joy News on TV. We have a Twitter handle at Joy News on TV. We have Joy News TV, which is on YouTube, and myjoyonline.com gives you all the links to all of these, where you can watch it in real time. As we wait for that 8:30 premiere of With Us Kings, we have to also... Ghana, since we recorded the cases too, following that press conference in the evening of March 12, 2020, we've now up the cases. We're talking about the number of cases we have for coronavirus, over 24,500, and we're still counting. The deaths now 139, and then we are now reporting cases across senior high schools. Well, we decided to recall third years and also the Gold Track student to school. And there have been increasing concerns from over the weekend about the number of cases we're reporting. And just this morning, even Bishop Herman College, my old school in Pando in the Volta region, was also recording cases, a number of schools as well. Now, let's look at how registration exercises had been undertaken in the WAS Senior High School, for example. And then we'll come back, speak to Dr. Michael Owusu. He is a virologist with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. And then we will look at all these into perspective. And Vincent Eko Asefua is the PC elect for TAFO, and then also is a communication spokesperson for the Ministry of Education. All of us are going to look at this conversation holistically and objectively after this. Watched.
Over 3 dozen prospective registrants sat patiently 2 meters apart from each other. Students and staff of WAS Senior High School quickly came here after seeing the registration officials of the Electoral Commission set up their registration devices on the veranda of the over 40-year-old school assembly hall. Some of them were there earlier, but the registration officials had not turned up yet. Presiding officer of the registration center, Domina Dominic, told me they were not informed earlier about where to do the exercise, and thus explain why they were almost 3 hours late.
We did not give us the information earlier on, so we just started right now.
You started around 11 o'clock?
Yes.
How is the process so far?
Oh, it's going on well.
How many people have you registered so far?
1 so far, and this is the second person.
This is the second person?
Yes, please.
Any challenges?
No.
Joey Nero is a final year student of the school, and he was the first person to be registered, and it took him 12 minutes to go through the registration process. He described the registration exercise as simple and one that will give many of his colleagues the opportunity to register without going through any difficulty. Yoyi is excited that for the first time, he will have the opportunity to decide who rules the country.
No, it was not difficult. But the only thing that they asked me that, like, they are doing only WAS center here, and like, it's my brother who stay here. I will vote in Kokon Kwantaba. So they say that as I register WAS center here, I'll vote by here. Continue, like some people, they don't have it. As they are starting registering new voter card. So some people will get so choose the best person who can handle their country.
Are you going to vote in the 2020 polls?
Yes, if I'm having life.
The registration officials are expected to spend the day here at the WAS Senior High School before moving to the St. Louis Senior High School on Saturday for same exercise. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam.
Well, so we had to do the discussions because one part of the argument has been that because we're having a number of cases, we can make some attributions to a number of reasons why. But we need to discuss this broadly. And the cases are now racking up. We spoke to Dr. Jacob Mahama of the Western region. He heads the health directorate there and spoke about the case at Archbishop Porter Girls, for example, for which we also have 7 others also being reported in 7 other schools. Now let's look at this discussion. We have been joined on Zoom by Dr. Michael Owusu, who is now a regular on the show. He's a virologist with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research. And then also Vincent Eko Asefua joining us shortly before he goes off for other duties. Vincent, good morning to you as well. Well, so we'll have him on stream. But Dr. Michael Owusu, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning, Roland. I can hear you.
Okay. Now, let me ask you as a virologist, your own initial observations about the report, some confirmed, others not confirmed so far, about the cases reported across the country from the senior high schools. As a public health person, as a virologist, what will be your initial comments and observations on these?
Yeah, good morning, Roland, and good morning to all your viewers. The cases recorded across the various senior high schools, for me, is quite worrying. Of course, you don't expect that you'll be comfortable if you have students recording such cases. And again, it also gives a certain picture to those of us in public health that it's two scenarios. Either the students were having these viruses, either they were incubating or some contracted it from the school. But whether they were incubating before coming or whether they got it from the school is something that you cannot easily determine unless you do some more further analysis before you can tell. But either way, it raises a big concern for which all of us will have to really look at this and then be able to understand how to go as a country and whether we want to continue with opening and allowing students to still go by their duties within this school. So for me, I don't think that is something that is comfortable, especially for parents who have their children there who keep hearing news of some of the schools recording cases. So I think that we have to really look at this again. But if you ask me my personal opinion about this, then the first question I want to ask is that what is the strategy? I mean, the public health strategy for managing this. This for me is very dear to me as a virologist. There are two ways a country can look at this, and many countries have their own strategies for dealing with this. The first strategy is one, to look at broadly from the national perspective where you are as a country. Are you in acceleration phase? Are you in the declining phase? Or you have just started? So if you're in acceleration phase, what it means is that the number of new infections nationally is on the increase and on the rise. And when it's on the rise, normally for many countries, you want to be very careful with undertaking activities that will involve gathering people together, including having schools open and taking other activities. But then it doesn't mean you cannot do it. I mean, as I said, a country has to decide. Other countries will go ahead and do it. But then when you go ahead and do it, it means you have strategies in place, you have robust systems in place to be able to respond to surges in cases and to manage them as and when they occur. I mean, South Africa is an example. I mean, in the whole of Africa now, they seem to be reigning. I'm sure they have close to over 180,000 cases with close to over 3,000 deaths. But they are reopening their schools. But then as they reopen their schools, they are also trying to put in some measures to be able to pick up cases rapidly as and when they happen. And they have capacity. They have the highest testing capacity across the whole of Africa. So they are able to do this and pick up issues as and when they come. Nigeria, for instance, I mean, in West Africa, they are the highest. They have the highest cases and with over 600 deaths. You can cross-check, but as I checked this morning, as at 9th of July, I'm told that they have suspended the reopening of schools and wouldn't want to continue with their WAEC exams because they feel that the kind of resources they have to manage surges in cases and to rapidly isolate and treat people is something that they may not be able to do. So they want to see that the cases have declined and they are more prepared and they'll be able to respond before they go through this procedure. So every country must have its own way of dealing with it. And for me, the measurable indicators, what will inform you to continue, to close down, to open, is what we have to begin to look at as a country.
Okay, we'll take a look at what the measures are based on, what the benchmarks are as being adopted by other countries. But we've been joined by communication consultant to the Ministry of Education, or the spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, Eko Vincent Assefa. Good morning to you, Mr. Assefa.
Good morning, Roland. Unfortunately, you always always get my name wrong. The name is Asifua.
Asifua. Yeah, it's very important these days too.
Very, very, very important.
I apologize, my brother.
That is okay.
Great. I hope you had a great weekend.
Well, I'm Helen. Yeah, the weekend was okay. Unfortunately, pre-COVID, normally what you'll be doing during the weekend, you cannot do it this time around. That's always been about family, probably some few friends who will visit or something. Apart from that, we are always indoors.
Okay, my brother. Now, as we all try to do a dispassionate conversation on this, how many cases and from how many schools have we recorded so far per what you know at the Ministry of Education?
Well, let me say a very good morning to your cherished viewers. Now, Roland, it is important to state that Ghana Education Service, as at last week, Friday, had recorded 13 cases across the senior high schools. Now, it doesn't also mean that there are not possible cases in some senior high schools, especially because I have read on some online portals about 4 or 5 schools or 4 or 5 cases in the Western region. I cannot say that it is not true, but for the record that we have, which has not been updated as of this morning, which I hope that we will update. But on record for the Ghana Education Service, we have 13 cases across the country.
Okay. So it's not that we have cases in 13 schools?
No, because Accra Girls alone recorded about 6 out of the 13.
Okay, so those are your former records?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're not here to debate about the cases. They'll come anyway. But what is the Ministry of Education vis-a-vis Ghana Education Service policy on whether or not we're living with COVID amid the reopening of schools?
Well, Roland, I think that living with COVID has been a statement that government put out about 2 months ago. Now, I'm saying this because this is a disease that nobody can anticipate when we are going to have an end in sight. This is a disease that we do not have any vaccine for it. This is a disease that nobody can contemplate as to when it would end. Now, as a nation, we also have plans. Now, for how long can we say that we are going to close down schools? So, in the anticipation of the president, when he triggered the executive instrument that schools will have to be reopened. Now, when schools are reopening, it is not for the entire schools that are supposed to open, but rather the final year schools, so that they will be able to complete the academic year. Now, unfortunately, when we reopened, there were arguments about government supposed to go on something that we call mass testing. Now, we made the argument that mass testing may not be ideal because today, if you test a child, we are going to get the results after 3 or 4 days. Now, within that 3 or 4 days that you are going to get the results, it is possible that that child may contract the disease. Now, the results will come. The child is negative. Meanwhile, the child is positive because within that 3 days, it was at that time that child was able to contract the disease. So, per the advice, the wise counsel of the Ghana Health Service, we decided that the mass testing may not be the ideal way to go. Rather, if we want to ensure that the spread of the disease does not escalate, we have to ensure that we have all our protocols that has been prescribed by the World Health Organization and the Ghana Health Service to be followed strictly. So the government elected to supply face masks to our students, every student. Now, government also elected to supply what we call biological buckets. Government also elected to supply tissue papers, sanitizers, so that students will be able to use these things for us to be able to have a reduction of infection if there is any. Now, even in our churches, even in our markets, even in our workplaces, well, last week, we heard that Cocoa Board was closing down. We heard that Post was closing down. We heard that Ministry of Finance was closing down because they wanted to ensure that the infection does not escalate, and they had to put in place certain measures that will be able to forestall some of these things. Now, even with the Ministry of Education, last week we had fumigation exercise. Ghana Education Service, we had fumigation exercise. Staff was not able to go to work after 2 o'clock. In fact, we closed at 2. So everywhere there need to be a certain kind of approaches to ensure that we don't have the escalation of this coronavirus.
So what is the policy? What is the policy towards the schools? Yes.
Let me end by this so that you can come in. There are about 700 senior high schools across the country. Opoku High School has not recorded a single case. St. Hubert Seminary has not recorded a single case. Prempeh College, not a single case. Asanteman, not a single case. KSTS, not a single case. Osentriche in Otafo, not a single case. Sense in Kwabre, not a single case. There are quite a number of our schools.
So how many schools per your record have recorded cases?
Roland, assuming that we have 10 schools that we are having recorded cases in there, for me, I do not think that it is enough justification for us to close the other 690 without any cases.
Okay. So just hold it down there. So all of us are having this conversation. So also on stream is Dr. Michael Owusu. Now, Dr. Michael Owusu, it looks like the position of the ministry and then the Ghana Education Service, which takes its policy direction from the ministry, is that we're reopening schools anyway. So amid that, what have you observed that gives you worry, and what ideally should be the needed actions and guidelines or protocols that will back this policy direction that or position that the ministry and the Education Service have?
Yes, Roland. So, as I said earlier, every country has its own right to decide on what to do in the midst of this pandemic. And like the co-panelists said, that yes, we have to live with the virus, and we certainly have to live with the virus. But I also understand that the virus goes through a phase, and the virus follows an exponential curve. So what you do in the decline phase is not the same thing you do when you're in the acceleration phase. We will get to a point where I believe that the risk of people getting the virus will be very, very low because many people have the it and have recovered. So the risk of becoming infected will not be something that people have to worry about. But the question about what I was saying earlier is that, yes, I mean, you may not want to close down schools, of course, which I will share with him if you have 13 schools with 1 or 2 recorded cases. But the question now is that what measures do you have in place to even detect rapid surges in cases within your own limited capacity? And what do you want to do else to expand this? Modeling from the UK from their own analysis using some stochastic measures have shown that if you open schools, I mean, you should direct your energy to testing symptomatic cases. So I also share with him that mass testing may not be ideal. Logistic constraint may not be permitted. And the Center for Disease Control, US, has also backed this, that mass testing of schools and teachers is not ideal. But then you must test people who are symptomatic, people who have symptoms of the disease. And you should ensure that at least up to 72% of people who have the symptoms of the disease are tested. And then you do contact tracing and isolation for them as quickly as possible. This will enable you to know the number of new infections that you record within these schools. And then you can convert this into what you call your reproductive number or transmission rates. When this exceeds 1, then of course you know that there is active phase of transmission, and therefore you must act quickly and close the facilities to protect the vulnerable. You must understand that these students are young. So the risk of people dying, or becoming sick is also very, very low. So ideally, I don't expect many people to be sick. And if you look at our data in Ghana, most of the people who are critically ill and sick are 40 years and above. But of course, we have recorded some deaths in 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 18-year-old. These are at random, happen at random. So the goal is to protect these vulnerable. If you have 500 students and you have 2 or 3 or 4 asthmatic or sickle cell disease patients, the question is that, what do you have to do so that you can protect those lives? If it means that you have to take an action that to protect these people, you have to go ahead and do it. You can delay at a point and protect the vulnerables and further open to ensure that they are not exposed or infected. So the first is availability of testing. If we have testing available and you can test symptomatic people up to 72%, then of course, it will give you an idea of the rapid surge in cases and enable you to do contact tracing and isolate them as quickly as possible. So if you come to testing, the next question, what testing do you have to offer to these students? Already we are overstretched, and most of the testing is limited to healthcare facilities where people are critically ill. So I was looking at other alternative measures, and I've made this known to some other authorities that it will be good to have an idea. Either you can, at random, sample people to give you an idea of the population you're working with, or you can introduce an immune response antibody kit, which looks at only IgG to tell you the population of people who may have been exposed already, to give you an idea what you are dealing with. These are options that we can look at and factor this in our strategies in monitoring. Like I said, monitoring mechanisms are very good, but your ability to monitor depends on your capacity to test and to be able to isolate and to do effective contact tracing with the sole aim of protecting the few vulnerables who are in this group. So this is where I think that we have to look more closely so that we don't wait to have 1 or 2 people falling sick and, of course, being taken out because of delays in release of results, delays in contact tracing, delays in isolating them, and delays in them getting access to quick medical care. This is what I think we should also look at in addition to what we are doing.
Echo Vincent, are you still on the line? Mr. Sefa? Mr. Sefa? Oh.
Yeah, Roland, I'm here.
Great. Sorry, you took a break. Good that you are back. Now, so the reopening of the schools and amid the cases that have been recorded, you have explained that it's not en masse. So it means that I get it. My observation is that the Ministry of Education is not worried about the rate of infections. Now, does it mean that...
Roland.
Yes, sir.
That wouldn't be a fair...
Okay, you let me ask my question, and then you debunk what you think is not... Okay,
because I haven't said so.
Okay.
That would be misinterpretation of what I said.
Okay, so let me ask my question.
You may be misrepresenting me.
Okay, Echo, let me ask my question.
May I say you may have to withdraw that because
I have withdrawn it in total.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, my brother. Okay, so when it comes to, you and I are not clinicians, so the only clinician here or the medical person or somebody who is a virologist is on the other side. What is the policy direction on keeping the students in schools while tracking their health in relation to COVID on the part of the ministry and Ghana Education Service?
Well, this is purely health matters. And so even though the Ghana Education Service, as per law, has the oversight responsibility of all our schools in this country. But because it is purely health matters, there has been a deliberate collaboration with the Ghana Health Service. So as of last week, there was a committee or a joint committee of about 200 people that has been deployed by the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service to augment the already existing strategies, or if you like, approaches that were on the ground. You remember that the Ghana Education Service and the Ghana Health Service informed the general public that all schools have been mapped with health directories or health facilities in every district. And so, for example, if you look at KNYC Senior High School, anybody who knows KNYC Senior High School knows that KNYC Hospital is located very close, and if I'm not getting it wrong, about 200 meters away. So clearly, all students in KNYC Senior High School, in instance that there is an outbreak of COVID-19, the best place to inform is the KNYC Hospital. Now, we will have to also put on record that apart from these 200 people, the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service is in discussions to ensure that if the numbers may be increased, so that regions that become epicenter, which we are yet to establish, if it's supposed to be Western region, if it's supposed to be Greater Accra, basically because that is where we found out that some students contracted the disease. Then we will put in more resource persons to be able to ensure that they support the already existing strategies that have been put in place by the Ghana Health Service. And so, as policy, we have deployed about 200 people that are already out there doing constant monitoring and constant supervision. They are in talks, extensive talks, with the leadership of our various senior high schools, the teachers themselves who are supposed to serve as local parentis, and the administrators to ensure that we don't have instances whereby cases will have to be recorded and people are not actually on top of what is supposed to be done. And so, as we speak, I know that the Ghana Education Service and base leadership, especially when we check the structures, the regional education directors, the district education directors, the circuit supervisors and all that, are doing a job that we hope that it will be able to give us very good results.
All right. Thank you very much for this assistance. We'll call you again when we need some more clarification. I call Vincent Assefa, lead public relation for the Ministry of Education, clarifying issues here, the position of the ministry as well. And thank you, I call Vincent Assefa. But your last words in, let's say, in a minute or 60 seconds, Dr. Michael Owusu, where should we be heading, let's say in a month or so after monitoring the situation?
Yeah, so looking at the rapid increase in cases, as I mentioned in the acceleration phase, it is likely that if we are able to manage ourselves well, we may go through this phase safely, but of course, there may be some risk, especially to the vulnerable group, because of the fast, it's moving very fast, like is expected. So it means that we have to still adhere to the protocols and begin to do what is right. But also for governments, as has been mentioned earlier, one of the strategies, not strategy, but one of the statements made by government was that if there are increase and surges in cases, the government will not hesitate to impose further restrictions or curfews in order to limit the rate or the spread of the virus. So I want to believe that as the cases are going up, various government officials are monitoring how things are going, and when they have to act, they will need to act very quickly so that we don't have rapid surges that may cost the lives of people. And also for all the students and the parents, they may have to also cooperate with authorities. People should not panic. These are difficult times. I believe that once we have put the children in the hands of our education authorities, let's work with them and let's ensure that we also offer them advice and then encourage them to keep on informing the parents. You know, information is very important. Parents must know what is going on. Teachers must also be aware. The protective equipment, PPEs they need to work with must be available. I mean, once we want to go head on, then everything we need to ensure that lives are protected has to be available so we can protect the few vulnerable people who may contract this virus. And then safely we can go through this and see how the future will hold for us.
Dr. Michael Owusu, virologist with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research into Tropical Medicine as well, helping us do great discussion. And we're hoping that at least that brings some sort of education to all of us, and we'll have some respite as far as that is concerned in terms of what is being done, etc. But you also do know that a lot of people are watching us, and we want to get on to the next case. Belated happy birthday to you, Nana Silfua Boyson, your Director of Marketing and Communications of ABSA. Happy birthday, belated though. You're 14 years today, and it's coming from your father, Charles Osei-Asibe, known entrepreneur and also broadcaster. Chelsea Nana Ya Santua Osei-Asibe, you're with the Achimota School, and I know that we have many children in school as well. God's blessings and long life according to your father, Charles. And good morning to you, Charles, as well. But we have to move on. We had the Joy Ballot Box. Friday, we premiered that from Hokwa in the Volta region. And as your election headquarters, we would want to discuss this throughout the rest of the day. So we'll do this in News at 10. And it looks like the aggregated concerns of the electorate, both sides of the political divide, is that they wanted their rules fixed for them. Otherwise, trouble. Well, you know, say that the governing MPP will say we don't get much votes from the Volta region, but it's still something that is needed, because when we did this engagement, this citizens engagement showed us that indeed the roads in the region are bad, they need to be fixed. Now we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll speak to the producer of the Joy Ballot Box, MFA Atiamo Eli, and get as first hand where we're moving towards with this discussion and where we're going next. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, so let's now get the subject of the Joy Ballot Box going. And we know that we convene this. We have the producer right here, MFA Ewenam Atiamo Eli. I was corrected. I should add Ewenam. So
it's Atiamoa.
Atiamoa.
Yes.
Charlie, I got it wrong. How are you? And way of you did great work you went to do. How did it go in the first place?
Oh, it was exciting. It was very, very exciting and engaging. I think the residents and constituents themselves were excited about the whole exercise. We got there on Wednesday. By Thursday, we were out there with the boxes, asking them to drop in the issues that would inform their votes. And readily, everyone was running around. Even those who couldn't write had to approach us, so we would help them put the issues on paper.
What was on their mind?
Yes.
Put them in thoughts. Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
So we had to assist, you can accommodate that.
So when you arrived the Wednesday, you started putting together advantage points,
exactly,
the boxes.
Exactly. Okay. The boxes went out on Thursday, early in the morning. By 7, they were all over the places we had advertised that we were going to put them at. So the moment they see us, I think when we even got to the constituency, in fact, the first area where we visited, which was the Hohoi police station, they were telling us that apparently some people had come there the previous day looking for the box to drop the issues inside, because the advert was running. Yeah, so that's also how prepared and anxious they were about the program. Exactly.
So it means that you engage with some local media and you created the awareness.
Yeah.
Did you do that?
Exactly. Okay. So we had to engage Loronyo FM, Heritage FM, something like this. Yes, we are here in Accra, but when it comes to
the locals,
you need to relate to them better. So Friday, early in the morning, we were on Lolonyo FM, spoke the Ewe dialect with them so that they could connect, just to whip up the interest. And the feedback was great.
Fantastic. Okay, so it means that getting to the grassroots is important for the Joy Ballot Box. So ultimately, when you did the discussion, what was the sum total of the concerns?
Everybody was talking about the road, and you didn't, if you travel that stretch, I mean, it was obvious. We didn't really have to wait for the ballots to be able to tell that this would come up. And really, it wasn't surprising how the votes turn out at the end of the day. So that was it. That's the road.
So this road leads to where?
This road leads to Hohwe. This is from Accra, heading towards Hohwe. I'm not very familiar with the names of the communities.
Yeah, I'll spare you that. I'm very familiar.
This is how terrible the road is. I mean, and it's all.
So this one, before you get to the communities that lead you to the Hohwe town itself,
yeah,
municipality.
Yeah,
great. So does it mean beyond the roads, they didn't complain about any other issues?
They did. We also engaged the youth. We engaged women. For the youth, they were more concerned about employment. They were more concerned about youth and ICT development. I found that very interesting. You know, often you wouldn't expect that those in the hinterland or outside of the bigger cities would be so much interested in technology. But they were so excited and they were so anxious to know what these political leaders will be bringing to them if they get their nod.
Wow.
So we're so much upbeat about that. And then the women were also concerned about the education, the peace and security of their children. You know, they were asking if the political representatives have any solution, if they gave them their nod in this time of COVID.
Wow.
If they had any solution at all to make sure that their children were safe in school.
Now, because you mentioned the road, I would want to take an insert from one of the places that you picked up, because
In fact, at the program itself, there was this gentleman who was so angry because he wasn't happy about the responses the panelists were presenting. So let's
you know what? For Newsdesk, we have to get you and Winston on stream as well in the studio to talk about it. But let's watch this. It's about the road and a concern for a citizen of the municipality.
Election before we see them on the road with their machines, which is very bad. They think that without them, there's no anything. But I want to assure them that the moment you want to show yourself to us, we Ghanaians will show to you. Because I remember that the time our former president, he brought the machines on the road. The road was done continuously. The moment our former president, Nana Akufo-Addo, he came to power, when I used to do all the road in Ghana, he sacked all the people on the road.
The NPP representatives assured the roads are being done. The climax of the show was when the Hohwe MCE, Teddy Ofori, said the road network under his tenure has improved and was more trouble.
The contractors are on site. They are actually in her hometown, which is Nyangbo, Gagbepe, which happens to be the paramount community in Nyangbo. They are there as we speak.
Well, so that was the responses there. And this was made possible because we have great partners, isn't it?
Yes, Star Ghana Foundation, they'll be so supportive of us, and with their funding partners, we are talking about the UK Aid, the European Union, and DFID. They've been very supportive, but for them, I don't think we'll be able to come this far. We are so grateful for them. And this year, the ballot box is going to be in 10 communities across the country, in 10 regions. Joy is doing 5, Adum is also doing 5. So from here, we have other communities to visit.
Do you know where we're going next?
Yes, so we are preparing to go to Boku. From there, we'll go to Ashanti region.
Yeah,
we come to the Greater Accra region.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I should go to Boku with you. I have my good friend there, Salifu Combat. Salifu Combat works as the head of primary healthcare pharmacy, Boku Presbyterian Hospital. We're heading to your city next. Sharp. Well, MFA Awenam Atiamwa Eli. Thank you very much. And she is the lead producer for the Joy Ballot Box. And of course, we're your election headquarters. You get all these uploads when it comes to the Joy Ballot Box. The first episode in Hohwe on YouTube. Joy News TV is our official YouTube channel. We also have Facebook, Joy News TV. Joy News TV is our Twitter handle. EmmaJohnLine.com has all these aggregated updates. We're taking a break. When we come back, we bring you the latest in showbiz.